All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
MotherGoose, standing by.
Lowtech Tuck, standing by.
Lock S foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Animal Squadron. You are here with your hairiest host, MotherGoose, and the one and only Lowtech Tuck.
Thought you were going to give up on introducing me, dude.
I just thought maybe you'd want to introduce yourself.
No, I only get introduced. I started as a guest, and I'll end that way. I'm not ending, but...
You guys are never going to believe it. HouseDog pooped his pants so hard he couldn't be on the podcast today.
Well, and also you forgot he threw up and cried also.
Yeah. Just out of pure shock.
Yeah, the poor guy.
It was really smelly.
Oh, yeah, and I was also on the bus on the way to school, and there was a big test, and he was just so nervous, he just couldn't handle it.
His crush was sitting next to him, too.
Oh, yeah. And also, too, like, they had to call his mom, and, like, his mom knows. Like, it sucks.
And she had a really important meeting at work, and she's, like, really mad at him, too.
Oh, yeah. It's life's not good for HouseDog at the moment. But,
Life
you know
is
what?
not good.
You know what? You are here with your favorite hosts.
Mm-hmm. The best hosts, because we have beards.
That's right. We have beards.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't give you as hard of a time.
That's true. And we won't poop our pants.
Probably.
Probably. You never say never, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man. Nothing like tuning into a new podcast and the first thing the hosts talk about is poop.
Are you meaning that that's not how everyone picks their podcasts?
Chat, if you're picking podcasts that don't talk about poop sometime, you're listening to the wrong podcast.
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, honestly, if you don't pick based on poop, we don't want you here.
Get out of here! We are three 5-year-olds in grown men's bodies whose humor has never evolved. And you know what? That's okay.
It's true. Poo-poo, pee-pee.
We like poo-poo and pee-pee jokes. And
That's
we
right.
like Star Wars. We literally have not matured in 30 years.
And don't forget, too, we like video games. We like other stuff. Yeah, I mean, we're basically just 5.
Yeah, there's totally not a bunch of figures behind either of us right now.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No, never.
I don't have so many that I refer to it as the virginity corner. What?
I would never have my collection proudly displayed behind me. No way.
Well, today we are talking about Narkina 5, Season 1, Episode 8 of Andor.
That's right. And Narkina 5 is a prison.
It is. And what I'd forgotten is at the start of the episode, just to get us into it, they were splitting prisoners up and sending them to different planets.
Now, why do you think they were doing that?
Yeah, we've kind of talked about it off pod. One of my big issues with the series was that we didn't see any aliens in the prison, and it just didn't really make sense to me initially because we know of the whole xenophobic mentality of the Empire. I think, one, they were probably separating them by species, and that's why this prison only was humans. But I also think they were separating them to keep the secret of the Death Star as secret as possible.
You gotta expound on that. Why do you think that?
My guess is that each prison is at maybe each individual prison, but I'm thinking more maybe each prison planet is working on a different part for the Death Star. So if each planet is working on a different part, somebody can't put together okay, this part and this part could go together and make a planet-destroying weapon. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. Well, and I guess that makes sense, this whole... Well, and also with, Nikita 5? right?
Narkina, I think.
Yeah, like part of the deal with this prison is also with that question. Is each floor or like each room making a different piece?
That's a really good question, because I always assumed that they were because of the contest between them, but they could still have the contest and be making different parts.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's not like the Empire's that worried about fairness either. So,
Right.
like, it's not like
Right.
the competition has to be fair. It's probably more so just to keep them distracted.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, the fact that the winning table gets flavor in their food and the losing table gets shocked is so cruel.
I know. And also, too, like, they get, like, killed. Like, so, like, I mean, like, people get killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just for not screwing in the right bolts. Like, it's wild. Oh, that was one thing with Andor that he actually, like, what the guard tells him, well, and tells everyone in his little group whenever they first get there, is that they were picked because they're able to do labor.
Right.
But I also wonder if that is, like, based on what you said, I wonder if that is also just a distraction. Like, that maybe there are other prisons for different species, and they just tell everyone that, like, yeah, you were picked for your capacity to do labor. Here's your job. Here's what you're going to do. And just not really go into detail.
Because we know that they have no intention of actually freeing anybody. They just transfer them to a different prison.
And then they also keep doubling and tripling your sentence. They keep changing the number.
Yeah. Oh, Andor must have felt so bad when they mentioned the Aldani heist and that all of their numbers doubled after it happened.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also, because remember, he's starting to be like, no, I don't know anything about that. What are you talking about? And
yeah.
But also, thank God for the manager who's like, cut the chatter. Like, he walks up, he's like, nope, stop it. We're being surveilled. Don't talk about that.
Yeah.
I did notice that it was, 30 shifts later, which I assume is 30 days since they're on the day shift. And it was still 2159, his sentence.
Oof.
So even after 30, it was still 2,159 days. And it didn't change the whole time. It stayed the same.
That
His
sucks.
sentence did. Yeah.
I thought the 5 was an 8, so it went from, what, 2189? Down, so from an 8 to a 5, but also, I'm not going to lie, I did get a new kitten, and I was kind of hanging out with it while also watching the episode, so...
Fair enough. I didn't realize you did. Congratulations.
Thank you, yeah. My nephew and his wife found it, and it just kind of ended up with me.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it's very cute.
Nice. But I just did some quick math, and actually 6 years is 2,190 days. So 2189 makes more sense.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because that would only be day one. And then this being 2159. So the clock is actually changing, but...
Yeah. But, I mean, also, doesn't matter. They would have just put him in a different prison.
Yeah, right. But, yeah, I mean, the prison, though, this whole arc, I am interested just because it's just hard for me to process how cruel this prison is. Like, it's kind of like... it's just hard to explain. Like,
yeah,
it's so bad that it's honestly understandable that at the end of the episode, that one guy throws himself on the shocking floor. I mean, I kind of get it with how horrible it is.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have mentally withstood that, just being honest.
Yeah. I mean, just constant, not the working 12 hours a day, like, for those of you out there to do that is bad, but, like, imagine working, like, at least 12 hours a day, probably more, and being in prison and doing the same thing every day for 6 years, like, every day, no weekend, no break, no nothing. And also to, like, your food doesn't have flavor. You don't have any family or friends.
Do good enough.
You're constantly tortured every night. The floor is like, the floor will kill you if you step on it. and stuff like. I mean, like
I sleepwalk. I would not. I would not make it.
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of get it. where guys like the guy at the end of this episode are coming from.
Yeah. Something I really like about the prison is we see in Rogue One that Krennic is struggling to get the project finished in time. Now that we know that they're building the Death Star, the like haste in the prison really makes sense. Mm-hmm. Even on this small little level, just making one part for the Death Star, they are go, go, go.
So are they actually making parts for the Death Star?
The end of season 1, it's an end credit scene. We see those little 6-sided shape they're making as like droids are flying it onto the Death Star.
Oh, okay. I must have forgotten that.
That's okay. And I mean, like I said, it's an end credit scene, which was kind of weird. It was one of the most important scenes, I think, in the entire season. And to make it an end credit scene felt a little strange.
Yeah. Weird decision.
Yeah. But I don't know, just that continuity of, sure, yeah, the Empire's building a planet-destroying weapon, but they are not having an easy time of it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it makes sense, too, like, if you have a bunch of slave labor lying around in prisons.
Right.
And you got a big project. I guess I get it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also with PORD, it makes sense why they're trying to... Like, senators think it's a public safety act.
Right.
But the higher-ups at the Empire realize that it's for the labor.
Yeah. The Empire was going to do it regardless. I think Cassian blames himself. I think a lot of people in the galaxy blame the rebels for doing it, but the Empire was going to do it regardless. They just needed an excuse.
Oh yeah, I mean they would have come to these people's planets and grabbed them if there wasn't enough prisoners. Yeah. I mean, just look at what happened with the Wookiees. Like, they would have done that very thing. Which
makes me think, do you think the Wookiees, their slave labor may have been towards building the Death Star as well?
It is in Rogue One, right? Aren't they mining material? Or is that Solo?
I think that's Solo, but I think you're right about Rogue One, because I think Jyn Erso, they find her in a prisoner work group.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think these are like, work farm public projects. Mm-hmm. And by work farm, for those that didn't grow up in America, there was an era of American prisons that were kind of like that. Like in the 30s, it was like prisoners were breaking rocks to build roads and helping to build roads and harvesting crops by hand and like that kind of stuff. So this seems very much like that. Yeah.
You know what I didn't realize the first time I watched this is that Table 5, the guy that Andy Serkis, that's his name, right? The actor?
Yeah. Yeah, the guy that plays Gollum in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So he grabs a guy and he pushes him against the wall when they're having the discussion about the PORD.
Yeah.
That's Melshi from Rogue One.
Well, and that's his name in the episode, too. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it never clicked that was Melshi.
Oh, and he's the pilot.
He wasn't a pilot, but he was one of the soldiers that joined Cassian when they made Rogue One to go steal the plans.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And R.I.P. we do see him die on the Scarif battlefield, but he's not a major character in the film. Like he's named in the film and he gets a few lines, but definitely a background character. So to see him here was really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that one prisoner's comment of breathe deep, brother. This is probably the last fresh air we'll ever take.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Right?
And also it seems like before PORD, sentences weren't that bad.
Right.
Because like everyone's like 6 years. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? Mm-hmm. And they're asking Andor, and he's like, I don't know. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Which the guy who asks him, his line right after that is, seems like that's been happening a lot lately, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is true. I think a lot of the people in there were falsely imprisoned.
Yeah. Or if they were rightfully imprisoned, their sentences don't match what they did.
Right. Like
sure, we're entering what?
Oh, I was just going to say prison serve a purpose in society, but like work prisons that kill you if you don't do good enough are not the same.
Yeah, or like for instance, I don't believe that if you murdered a family and did something like horrible, and then if you did like a Ponzi scheme or something,
right,
that you deserve the same sentence.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that seems questionable to me.
Yeah.
That seems like where we get into cruel and unusual punishment and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is definitely what the Empire's doing.
For sure.
Yeah.
There were a lot of shots a lot of feet shots, which the first time I watched it, I literally was sitting there, I was like, man, they're really spending a lot of time on these guys' feet.
What is this, Quentin Tarantino? What's going on?
Yes! That's literally what I was thinking. And then obviously, the floors are electrified, so it makes sense, but did throw me off a little at first.
Yeah, I guess it's to show the danger, but...
Oh, yeah, no, it's really good filmmaking, kind of foreshadowing, making the audience aware, like, hey, this is going to be an important plot point soon.
Yeah. Yeah, but at the same time, it's a little strange.
Yeah. Something else about the prison, I feel like this is the first time in this season that Andor's story has been the most interesting part of the episode.
Yeah.
Not that his story hasn't been bad so far. I've just been more invested with Luthen and Mon Mothma's stories the first 6 episodes. But now I really feel like it's becoming Andor's show, truly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because especially Luthen and Mon Mothma, in this episode, they're toned down by quite a bit. I mean, both of them have stuff that happens, but it's not that important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I feel like has a pretty good arc this episode is the Empire guy. What's his name?
Oh, Cyril.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting recruited by ISB.
Right.
That's hard to see coming.
Mm-hmm. What did they say? He's been there a month, and he'd already tried to, sneak files out 6 times.
Well, she says 5, and then he said, no, actually it's 6, and she was like, I didn't count today.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh. So that means every what, in a 30-day month, which is what we have on Earth.
5 days?
Yeah, so not even a whole week.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He is to Cassian Andor is what I am to Star Wars. I gotta have more. Gimme.
Just a little goblin, dude, just running around like a madman. I like it.
One more thing on the prison before we fully move on is the sign language. I thought was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're able to communicate just a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm also, I know that we get kind of the gist of it a little later as far as what they're talking about, but I would love for there to have been subtitles so you can see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Just as someone who doesn't understand sign. I know that's my fault, but I don't understand sign. So
well, and this is just for our ignorance. I'm not even sure if this was American Sign Language or if it was a Star Wars specific made sign language.
Oh, okay.
And also, if it is specifically for Star Wars, is this the same sign language that the Tuscans use? Or is it a different sign language? Like how we have different sign languages here on Earth, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Which actually, this is definitely a route to a different thing, but I just want to make a comment real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I realize that there are other sign languages other than American Sign Languages. Other than American Sign Language, but I don't know what they are.
They're so I know.
Is
for
there
sure
an English sign language? Is there?
There's a British sign language.
Okay.
Anyway, very, very interesting how it all kind of happened. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have multiple sign languages here on Earth, it would make sense that Star Wars, with hundreds of thousands of galaxies, galaxies, but planets specifically, would have many different forms of sign language.
Oh yeah, and it's home to like trillions of people, probably.
Right. Yeah.
And by people I mean all species, but still, I mean like that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so Cyril, do we see anything else of him besides his interview scene?
Well, you see him a little bit at work.
Oh.
And then you're like, what is he working on? And they come get him.
Right.
And then, yeah, just the interview. That's pretty much it.
I'm glad we get to see Daedra and Cyril together, because we've talked about Cassian and Cyril mirroring each other, but I think Daedra and Cyril also mirror each other. They're very similar characters, but they do things a little differently. Sure, Daedra is kind of pushing the boundaries to get things done, which is very Cyril-like, but I do think she's been playing it a little safer. She's not quite as risky as Cyril is.
Well, I don't think she's as convinced as Cyril is. Like, he's very sure what he believes and how he feels. Whereas, like, I think she's still kind of... There's more gray areas, I guess. Whereas, like, for Cyril, he's more black and white.
Right. And I think part of that is Cyril has come face-to-face with Andor. He's looked into his eyes. He knows his name. Luthen and Axis is just an idea, really, for Daedra right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they even said in the ISB meeting where we think there is a man named Axis, and we call him that because he's central.
Right, right.
Like, we think, like, it's pretty much how everyone phrases it. And it's like, okay, well, they don't know. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. We get to see our boy Yularen again. We always love to see it.
When?
He's he is running that meeting with Daedra. He's the mustached guy that she's talking to.
The one that says, I'm listening, and that, like, this is very Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, he's leading the ISB right now.
Oh, okay. And so that's why, like, whenever he pushes back, everyone listens, where he's like, this is, like, kind of outrageous. What are we doing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I think in terms of ISB hierarchy, it's him, and then Partagast, I think, is either like a second in command, or he is in charge of this section of the ISB, and maybe there are others like him scattered around the galaxy.
It seems like they're somewhat equal, because he does push back to Yularen. He's like, well, no, like, hear her out. I mean, we've already gotten approval for this, and there's really nothing you can do about it, is kind of what he tells Yularen. So that makes sense.
I really liked his line where essentially he says, we don't know a lot, but what we do know is concerning.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
I think that was the right thing to say. I mean, Empire bad, of course, but it's showing that they have a little bit of competence. Yeah,
and they're required to for this to be a good story. If Empire bad was the only thing that existed, Star Wars wouldn't be interesting.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they literally, like, first, 15, 20 minutes of A New Hope, they literally kill millions of people.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also we're introduced to various characters throughout Star Wars as a whole that turn around from the Empire, or, like, characters that remain in the Empire that don't seem to be as bad, and, like, you know, things like that. So
Right.
Yeah, the Empire's got some depth, which is a good thing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all I had for the meeting. I know the ISB still play a big part on Ferrix, but I think in terms of them on Coruscant, that's all I have.
Yep. Me too.
Maeve isn't doing good.
No, she's died, it seems like.
Yeah. But you know what? She's going out fighting.
That's right. Even Bix calls her a rebel, so
Yeah.
it's pretty sick.
Yeah. I really like that interaction.
Yeah, I too want to be like 80 years old and fighting the government. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Real. I forgot that Bix got tortured.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing her be pulled in, and like Daedra specifically is like, "Oh, leave the guy in here so she can see it." But then as soon as Bix comes in, she's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Get out of here!" Like pretending she didn't plan it the whole time.
Why do you think she does that?
I think it's a psychological thing.
I think so too.
I think she wants Bix to think they're slipping, like they're not at the top of their game. Mm-hmm. I think she wants to give her a little hope, like, oh, maybe if we're slipping, you can get out of this. But then, obviously, no, it's never happening.
Yeah, and that's also, too, when you have a little bit of hope, it's easier to be broken. So
Right.
Yeah. I think she's just doing a really good job of torturing.
Of being evil.
Yeah. She's unfortunately very solid at it, and we have to give it to her.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Bix was all I want to talk about really on Ferrix. Oh, no. Cinta and Vel are there.
Yep, and they're watching. And then Luthen mentions later that Bix is important to finding Cassian. And that like she's important. And so with them being sent to kill Cassian, how's this gonna work? Like, I guess that's one thing that I'm just kind of like questioning right now. A little
right.
bit.
Yeah, it's funny because Dog and I talked a little bit about how it was really important to Cassian to give up the Kyber crystal so that the Rebellion and the Empire weren't searching for him. And then just the Rebellion and the Empire ended up searching for him anyway.
Right.
Oh, with Daedra, they're looking for Andor and they had him the whole time.
Yeah, in prison. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's ironic.
Yeah, just their PORD maybe genuinely lost them the war. Because just butterfly effect, if he hadn't been arrested, they very much may have found him at a different time. They would have actually identified him as Andor. They would have arrested him. He never would have got out. Rogue One may have never happened. Death Star plan may have never been found out. Rebels lose.
Yeah. Or, on the other hand, if he doesn't get out of this somehow, how would they, like... Because they could have, like, Al Caponed him, basically.
Yeah.
And, like, get him for something like tax evasion, and then you hold him for racketeering.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I learned recently, small tangent, in terms of Rebel losing. Mon Mothma in one of the novels, the reason she isn't on Yavin 4 during Episode 4 is because they'd specifically sent her away to surrender if the Rebels lost at Yavin.
Oh.
Yeah, she was going to go to Coruscant and officially, like, the Rebels were going to surrender if they didn't win that battle.
Interesting. Why? Because they had the Death Star plans. Like, how would they have not won?
If, let's say they blew up Yavin and all the Rebels died, the plan to destroy it didn't work, all of the other Rebel planets were now a target. So the big one was Mon Cala.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we know that the Empire... Well, I don't think they ever were able to take Mon Cala.
Well, because Mon Cala was the biggest shipbuilder in the galaxy.
Right,
and, like,
right.
had all the fleet and stuff, yeah.
Right. And imagine if the Death Star just, jumped out of hyperspace, blew it up, and left.
Mm-hmm. Just wipe them all out.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I found that really, really interesting.
Yeah, that interests me, too. And also, why her? Because, like, at that point, like, she was important, yes, but, like, she wasn't the leader.
Right. Which I think she officially becomes by Episode 6, but maybe they just drew straws, She got the short end.
Yeah.
Maybe saying she was a senator, that they thought she would have an actual chance to get to Coruscant. Like, instead of just immediately killing her, they might have, being a high-value target, they probably would have at least captured her to interrogate her first.
Yeah, and there'd be maybe a chance of her surrendering with terms.
Right. Oh,
whereas if someone else went, it would probably just be unconditional surrender or we're not taking it.
Right.
Whereas like Mon Mothma, maybe she would have a better chance of getting terms, and terms that might have some positives for the rebellion.
Yeah.
Where it wouldn't just be, okay, well, we're just going to kill you all.
Yeah. I mean, that being Palpatine, there is a good chance that he may have just said, I don't care, and blown up Mon Cala anyway.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to get us on that tangent. Did you have anything else on Ferrix?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so Luthen or Mon Mothma? Where do you want to go next, my friend?
Let's go Mon Mothma.
Okay.
Because we were just talking about her. This feels like a good segue.
Yeah, those squigs, the little like alcohol bug things.
It's weird.
That was so weird.
And it's apparently a where are they from?
Shindrilla. Yeah.
Like it was like a Shindrillan tradition. It's like weird.
I found that line really funny where Leda, whatever her name is, Mon's daughter, she brought up it being disgusting, and Tay's like, yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah. But also, why do you think that is, that it's supposed to be disgusting?
I think she meant it in the case that you're literally dissolving a bug and then drinking it.
Yeah, no, I'm not asking why she thinks it's disgusting. I'm asking why Tay says that's the whole point.
I definitely think it probably ferments whatever that liquid is. It turns it into an alcohol. Maybe it's a drug, though.
No, I think I get how. What I'm saying is why would Tay say that's the whole point? That it's disgusting. Like, why would he say, like, you're right, Leda, this is disgusting, and that's the whole point? Why would he say that? That's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Sorry about that. I think just Shindrillan, like, tradition.
But why would the point of it be to be disgusting?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah. No, I don't know what's going on, man.
It just...
Or maybe, like, I mean, do you think maybe he's trying to, like, curb her from it? Like, maybe it's, like, kind of like he's trying to be, like, a good guy, where he's like...
Maybe.
Yeah, don't drink alcohol, kid. That's not good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I found it funny, like, as somebody that doesn't drink, it just reminded me a lot of how I see people talking about alcohol, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
Just like, yeah, sure, it's gross, but I enjoy it anyway.
Oh, I got, like, whenever people are like, well, you just gotta accept the flavor, dude. It's actually good when you drink enough of it. Like, yeah, exactly. Where you're like, that sounds like you've got a problem. Yeah.
Which, no shame, of course. That's just kind of how it felt realistic. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like somebody who drinks versus somebody who's not, a conversation they might have.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think with Tay's comment to her, it seemed more to me that maybe he was trying to just not be, like, not push it on her. Like, just like, well, yeah, it is gross. Don't do it. If you don't want to, don't do it. Yeah.
We got to see one of the aliens from the sequel trilogy. I don't know what they're called, but they're like bald and they have the big horns that kind of come down and curve towards their neck or down towards their chin.
I have no memory of that at all.
Yeah, I have no idea what they called. And it was a blink and you miss it scene. Just Mon Mothma walked by one, which, you know, a lot of Star Wars media since the sequels has been including sequel aliens just to help the universe feel a little more coherent. And I really like when stuff like that happens. Me too.
Because it's been a long time. It's been 40 years. So, or almost 50 years.
Yeah.
Like in 2 years, it'll be 50 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Which is crazy. But yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense why they do that.
I think my last comment about this interaction is the senators, they were sitting around talking about PORD, and they're debating on if it was ethical or not, and how much protection is too much protection. And I really like this dialogue.
Yeah, me too. And actually, how much protection is too much? What Mon Mothma says is, I think she says exactly that. How much protection is too much?
Right.
And all of them are like, well, it's about keeping the undesirables in check, and it's about, galactic safety and all that stuff. But I think Mon Mothma really gets it, where it's like, it's not what it's about. Like, they're just...
Right.
They're just... I mean, but also the other senators, I think, made a good point where what this act is actually about, what they're actually happy about, is that this is also keeping them richer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of what this is meant to show a little bit, is that the Empire, by keeping people in prison on these public work projects, those people aren't available to have lives. And so there's a lot of money out there
to be grabbed. Yeah.
To be grabbed by these high-end officials. And I think that's kind of, for better or worse, why a lot of them are okay with it. Because they're like, well, I mean, like, this sucks, but also those people are undesirables. Like, they're lower class. They've had problems before. Let's just shove them in prison and I get my money. I think, kind of where more they're at.
Which I think is really good foreshadowing to why Mon and Bail do leave the Senate. Like, we know this whole time they've been working on building the rebellion, but I don't think they'd quite given up hope yet that they could solve this peacefully through the Senate. And it's scenes like these that establish that, no, there is no solving this peacefully because so many senators just care about their wallet.
Yeah. Their wallet, or also just their planet. They don't care about the galaxy as a whole.
Right.
Like, let's say, I don't know, Centralia or somewhere like that builds ships for the Empire. Like, that senator's probably just like, well, why would I want him to leave? Like, they're building all their ships here.
Yeah.
That'd be really stupid for me to, like, oppose them.
What's that planet from Ahsoka? The shipbuilding's a really good point.
That is Centralia.
Oh, it is? Okay, cool. Yeah. Because even after the war, they still keep building for the Empire because they make money.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be the very same as someone from, like, Hong Kong, or someone from New York City, or someone from London or Taiwan or somewhere like that like makes a lot of stuff. It's kind of the same thing. Like, if the Empire was on Earth,
right?
I'm sure a lot of those quote unquote senators would feel the same way.
Yeah.
Just like, well, I mean, if I push back, they won't let me make my microchips anymore. And so I won't have my money.
Right.
And also I can't take care of my people because I don't have the money. And that's why I think, like, a lot of them, even if their motives are good, their throat is pinned to the wall. Like, they really don't have a whole lot of choice. Or they don't feel like they have a lot of choice. But that's where Mon Mothma's actually a hero, because she's like, no, I mean, like, even if my people suffer a little bit because of this, they're going to be better off in 20 years because they're not going to be dealing with this crap. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sees the long game. I respect it.
For sure. Which, her and Bail, they've been in the long game for, when is this, 5 BBY? So, like, 14 years now. They've been slowly building this up.
Yep. Oh, that reminds me too, with Saw and Luthen's chat. Mm-hmm. There's different rebellion groups, which, like, I mean, I knew we knew that, but they had, like, vastly different political opinions. Like, he was saying, like, so-and-so's a neo-Republican, so-and-so's an anarchist, so-and-so's I forget all the groups. He mentions, like, 3 groups.
Yeah, there's the Maya Briggs Brigade, I believe. Mm-hmm. He doesn't mention them because obviously that's him, but there's the Partisans, then, of course, Axis and his spy network. Bail, again, not one that got mentioned here, but Bail and his Fulcrum spy network. Then we know about the Phoenix Cell Lothal rebels, but the ones that he mentioned that I really wanted to talk about were human cultists.
Yeah.
Which seems a little creepy.
I would imagine that they are probably like this is just my dark brain here being interested in history and whatnot, but I think that the human cultists might be the equivalent of like a far right fascist anarchist kind of movement where like, yes, they are humans only and death to aliens, but also they're very anti-empire, and so they're probably a group that he wants to exploit. Like, it's like, you know, you dumb racists can fight for us, but after that, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting. Same point that you made, just like politically or ideology-wise, they line up very much with the Empire, so it's interesting to see that they are fighting against the Empire.
Yeah, but also it's probably a political spectrum much like every country on Earth, where there's up, down, left, right. You know, like there's people, no matter what, that disagree and agree with everything you're saying.
Right. The next one I wanted to talk about was the Gorman Front. We've been talking about Gorman a lot. Or it's been mentioned a lot season 1, which I find very interesting.
Do you think that's like Saw's rival? Like why has this been mentioned so much?
Okay, so Mac and I have talked about this a little bit, but the Gorman Massacre is something that really calls the rebels together. So in Rebels, officially, it's season 3, episode 18, Mon Mothma calls out the Empire for the Gorman Massacre.
Oh, okay.
So in Legends, the Gorman Massacre was Tarkin landing his Star Destroyer on a group of protesters.
Oh, gotcha.
However, that's been changed in canon. We don't really know what it is in canon, but we know it's not the same anymore. It's been changed. But regardless of the fact that it was changed, it's still the reason that Mon Mothma eventually leaves the Senate and calls out Palps.
Oh, gotcha. So this is just leading up to that.
Right.
That's why they're mentioned so much. Okay.
She's mentioned the Gorman a few times, and now we have Saw mentioning the Gorman Front.
So they're getting bigger.
Yeah.
Which is probably why the Empire feels like they have to crush them at some point.
Yeah. Okay, so in terms of the different rebel cells, I think that's all I had. Did you have anything else on them?
No, not really.
Gotcha. I really liked their conversation when Luthen first showed up, where obviously Luthen knows that he pulled off the Aldhani heist, but he doesn't want to admit it to Saw.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's also, too, just he's playing very carefully. He knows this is all a game.
Right.
Yep.
Money changes people, and if Saw learned that Luthen had 200,000 credits, I mean... No, it was way more than 200,000.
Go ahead and add another 0, buddy.
Yeah, actually, I think it was closer to 8 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say...
yeah,
well,
because...
so if we break it down, so it was 8 million because there was that other guy and Cassian.
Right, they were going to split it for 4 million.
Yeah, and then he kills that guy, so it's 8 million there.
Right.
And then that's also too just their thief share. That's not entirely what they stole. That was just what they were entitled to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we may be talking, so let's say that finder's fee was 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking more in the tune of 80 million in that case.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. Whatever it is, it's a lot.
Admitting he had that much money could put a target on his back, especially talking to Saw.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I don't know what Star Wars equipment costs, like, say, like, ships, guns, bombs, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But from how they're speaking with the tone of that, even 8 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
There's probably, I mean, you could probably build a small army with that.
Oh, yeah.
If I was guessing. Yeah.
Yeah, I just really like the dialogue between them. And also the other rebel cell that Luthen's desperately trying to get Saw to go help, and of course Saw won't.
Mm-hmm. And it's because he has a problem with that guy.
Yeah, which, again, I think is really good foreshadowing that, we see a lot of Rebel infighting and disagreements. In Rogue One, they almost don't get the Death Star plans because lots of the Rebel leaders don't want to risk it. In Rebels, Phoenix Squadron has to fight Thrawn alone because the greater Rebel Alliance won't come help free Lothal in the end.
Yeah.
Then we see things like this, where Saw won't go help whatever his name was. And so this Rebel infighting almost cost them the war.
Yeah, but it's also, the crazy thing is, like, just on Earth here, we've seen this happen a couple times. The only example that I'm largely aware of is, like, for instance, the Confederacy, which that was the other side in the U.S. Civil War. There was the U.S., and then there was the Confederate States. Anyways, they couldn't come up with a currency system because they kept fighting. And that was like one of their biggest problems was that like Virginia had its own currency, Texas had its own currency, and they couldn't agree. And then also vendors who went to both states only took the better one.
Right.
And so they had massive issues because of that. And that's just financial.
Yeah.
So like you can imagine like galaxy wide, if it's not just financial, but also personal, how big of a problem this really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes it feel so amazing that they actually in the very end they were able to pull together and make it happen.
Yeah, but that's why I'm glad for shows like this, because it shows like just how hard it actually was, and that this was a miracle. Like honestly, this shouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
They should have all died, honestly, if it wasn't for getting extremely lucky and being very, very careful over years.
Will of the Force, baby. Will of the Force.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say things like miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my last note is I was definitely wrong. I thought Mon Mothma had only misplaced 40,000 credits. She'd misplaced 400,000, which it's quite a bit more.
Wait, is that why Tay said he had an early morning and he left?
I think so. Yeah, because he's trying to help her cover it. I think with PORD, the Empire's being more. They're looking into finances more, and her missing 400,000 credits really raises a lot of questions,
especially from her family fortune account that's been open for as long as she's been alive. So.
Right. So I don't know. We've talked a lot about how much credits are actually worth before, and how it's I don't know if a credit is as much even as a US dollar.
I guess it just depends, because I think it's kind of like other currency systems where it's like the further away you get from gold, the less it's valued. So that's why I think like Skeleton Crew, like those early Republic dollars, those were worth a bunch.
Right.
But like at this point, especially being credits, they're worth quite a bit less.
Right. But even if they are worth quite a bit less, I mean, 400,000 is still quite a bit to try and keep track of or to lie about.
Unless they've just had massive financial trouble in the galaxy.
Right.
But I doubt that, because she's still clearly rich. So
yeah, they're still living the good life.
Yeah. So 400,000. I mean, that's got to be still a lot of money, I would think. Yeah.
But yeah, really overall, really enjoyed the episode. I think I really enjoyed the first half of this season, but I think this is where it starts getting really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like this was definitely it's all coming together. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. We really do appreciate it. And if you want to be a part of this conversation, you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com. And if you could leave us a review wherever you're listening, that would also be amazing. For the Animal Squadron, this has been MotherGoose.
And Lowtech Tuck.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios.